Got my Rams gear on. Yes, I got my one of my varied Rams outfits because I got my sports show coming up at 3. But for now, this is a special edition watching Amazon or watching Coda Rice eat an apple, apparently. I guess we can do that too. Yes, but the good thing about this is if you notice, he's muted.
I got my
you just ruined
Eat an Apple show coming up in 2 minutes.
You just ruined it. We were going so well when you were muted. And then we're watching Amazon special edition now. He really looks good there. Matter of fact, you should. Well, it's too late. All right. So it's going to be constant on and off. When you take a bite, you mute. Is that it? Is that all right? Well, I can understand. I'd rather you bite and then when you want to talk, then mute. Then we have a really good show going.
You know, the thing is, it's going to go brown. I hate brown apple. So
and on that note, welcome to the special edition watching Amazon. The earnings came. The earnings expectations are at an all-time high. Then they came out last night, and it was like, whatever. Yeah. Although, let me pop up something here. Let's see, do I got it? Yeah, let's do this. So, as of right now, let's see, it's 1:33. All right. So, as of right now, taking a bath. Taking a bath. 7. That's down 7%. That's a healthy down. But you know what? Are we really surprised by that?
I think not based on the outcome of the session yesterday. No, I am surprised. I mean, it started because I was watching it at open. It opened at 5% down.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm shocked. I haven't checked it since. So I'm kind of shocked that that's a snowballing. I thought maybe they would recover a little bit, which they will in the next couple of days. But
yeah, this is all day traders, people who are trying to get in and out. This is not long term. These are people who
that's the entire market.
They were not the entire market, but
it is. Not I'm saying the market moves right now. Lay people.
Well, yeah, okay, all right, right now. I mean, these are people who are just trying to get in and out, get a quick hit. So you may see a lot more volatility over the next couple of hours. But overall, your impressions of what the numbers, what the report was, what you were on the call, you were checking it all out.
What?
Overall impressions.
You're not gonna like what I'm gonna say.
I typically don't, so that's not anything.
That's true. So that's not the news. Let me put that light on me.
Yeah, please.
But told you so.
What'd you tell me? I don't know.
Amazon is not doing well right now. And they have a lot of challenges. We've talked about each of the challenges. I talked about they were having problems with COVID in the warehouse. And of course, even at the beginning, I was really telling other people, I remember that the first outbreak in the country was in Amazon territory, right there next to Amazon. So they're dealing with that at their headquarters. They're dealing with that inside of their,
fulfillment centers?
And their fulfillment centers. And so to deal with that, they've said, look, and this is the reason why you're seeing a lot of this volatility going on in their stock is because they said next quarter, all their profits are going to COVID-19.
Yeah. Well, they're actually, they said they're anticipating spent $600 million in the first quarter. They're anticipating $4 billion it's quarter 2. All right. Let's just do this first. Let's look at some of the numbers here. Let's look at some of the numbers first. Let me bring this up. All right. So these are some of the charts that came from the earnings call presentation, courtesy of Seeking Alpha. So if there's one stat that seems to be synonymous with Amazon, it's this whole free cash thing. I mean, even when they weren't making money, they really emphasized the importance of free cash. And I think it's important. And the fact that even with all that they did in the first quarter around, hiring 100,000 some odd people and retooling certain processes to meet what's going on. And I got a thing I want to really pop up around that later. They still increased their cash flow through all this stuff. Now, to me, that's pretty significant because cash is king. Cash allows you to do things that people who don't have cash can't do. And if you're looking for a loan to do stuff, good luck with that. Because trying to get a loan processed and approved, and then the money actually in your hands, good luck with that. So when you don't have to do that, when you have cash on hand and you increase your cash on hand, you are in the best position that anybody possibly could be at this point in time.
Okay.
Okay, I like this. I like the agreeable cold rice. You need to eat more apples a lot more often.
I'm done with my apple.
Get another one. Get a pear, kumquat, whatever you got.
I mean, yeah, cash flows up. They were having a good first quarter.
Well, they came off of that huge fourth quarter from last year, right? I mean,
But I mean, we'll see what happens. Because look, here's the deal. Go back to that. Let's just look at this real fast. You notice what this really is amazing when you look at it. Q2 is what time of year? That's Prime year. Prime Day.
Getting ready for it, right? I mean,
no, that's you have Prime Day in Q2.
Is Q2 July?
Yeah.
No, Q2 is the beginning of the third quarter.
They usually have it in June, don't they?
No, July.
Well,
it's like Christmas in July.
All I'm looking at is in this Q2 beat Q4 for cash flow.
Right.
The problem is we're going to see a big drop in cash flow in the month, possibly.
No, I think you are. I think you are going to see already
seeing.
Because they said they're going to be spending $4 billion.
Yep.
So I would suspect you will see a big drop, but it's what they are doing with that money. Once again, it's better to have the money and use it for things that are going to prepare you for the future.
That's a question mark.
Well, let's just go on their track history. They've always invested back into customer experience, into supply chain, fulfillment.
Yeah, but they didn't talk about any of that. They talked about they're going to. Here's the thing. Before you spin.
I'm not spinning. I'm just telling it like it is.
Okay, but I'm just saying, here's like it is. They're saying they're going to spend this money on COVID-19. Is that going to be stuff that they're going to be able to leverage going forward? I don't know. This could be literally a well that they have to throw money at just to maintain. I don't know if they're going to be able to leverage all of this that they do. When they're talking about getting more PPE for their workers, getting more testing for their workers. I can't remember. There was another thing. There was like 3 major things that they were talking about. But all of those, I'm like, that doesn't have anything to do with the customer other than making customers feel better about their products not being contaminated or something.
I would say it has a lot to do with the customers because these folks are in the warehouses and the fulfillment centers and making changes to supply chain to be able to manage the change in expectations and the change in activities from customers. And I got something will pop up on that.
I wish their CFO was as positive about this as you are.
You're talking about a guy that was going to get hammered yesterday because of what he had to say.
I'm just saying. I mean, if he were to bring forward those kinds of,
well, he can't. I see. He can't afford to come out and speculate. You know? I can. I can.
Right. You have no, but I will hold you to the fire.
Go ahead.
Trust me. I will. I will burn you later. Go
ahead. At your own peril, I say. All right. So let's go to. All right. So net sales. All right. I mean, this is no surprise. It was huge. It was up. Significantly. That's because we know why. We know why that was up. We'll talk about a little more specifics, but that's for a company the size of Amazon to be that to make a jump over a quarter. Particularly, look at the quarter they were coming off of.
Yeah,
I mean that was huge. That's the fourth quarter, and look at Q1 of last year, and then it's a steady rise. Usually, that Q1 the next year goes back significantly back down, but it didn't. It didn't go significantly back down. So
it'd be nice to see Q4 on that from 2019.
Yeah, it would. But
I mean, I'm sorry. You know what I mean?
2018, yeah.
2018.
But they always do the 4 quarter roll.
But yeah, I mean, they're up 26%. So, but there's nothing bad there.
No, well, no, but we all know a lot of that is when it comes to profitable revenue, not as profitable. Yeah.
That changed too. Did you got that slide?
Right. By the way, hello, Ellen. Ellen Bloomer is with us again. You got to say hello to Ellen.
Hey, Ellen.
There it is. Okay.
What up?
Now, the interesting thing, look at what percentage of revenue AWS makes up now. This thing is growing. It's just such a interesting thing. 37 billion for AWS.
Right.
That is so stealthy. We'll talk about that as we keep going. All right. Operating income. Now, here we are down. What does that tell you? That tells you that the revenue, that 75 billion that was up 26%, that was driven by small margin retail. There's no, because if the revenue was up and it was mostly due to AWS, that would be more profitable.
You did hear. See, there was a lot of stuff I think you missed. I mean, AWS was not really that bullish. That's another reason why the market is down.
But didn't you hear what I said? That's why I said the revenue was driven mostly by retail, which has smaller margins, which is why year over year operating income is down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, AWS is making up a bigger part, but not enough to offset, that deluge of retail, online retail that was small profit margin driven.
Yeah, but I agree. But I think there was a lot being said about AWS kind of in the background.
Yeah.
Or he kept saying that travel and hotel, or not hotel, he said travel and can't remember the other word he used, but and entertainment, I think he said travel and entertainment were in the negatives. So if you think about it, AWS has Uber on it, right? And Uber's not being used hardly as much as it used to,
Right.
Airbnb might be on there, right?
Right.
So, I mean, these are two massive companies that were using AWS and growing very rapidly. Suddenly, they're not doing anything. So, yeah. I think that's a big issue.
Oh, I think it is a big issue, and there's some charts on that as well. But the net income down, and that speaks directly to most of that increased revenue came from small margin retail versus AWS with those big profit margins.
Okay, so when you're saying small margin retail, you're talking about their retail business itself is small margin,
right? Just generally speaking,
compared to
right. Okay,
gotcha. I got you.
All right, and I'm not worried about this. I'm not worried about this, but I want to focus on this. Look at these numbers. Now, we had just got through saying, AWS has issues, but at least year over year, that was right in line with what had been happening previously. Next quarter is going to be very interesting to see what happens.
Right.
But this last quarter, and it's not just look at actually operating income was up over sales, a little higher in terms of margin. So it's going to be fascinating to see what AWS looks like this next quarter, mainly for some of the things you were saying. Some of the big drivers of AWS success are getting killed. But does that also mean that there are other things that might eventually offset some of that?
Possibly. I mean, they were saying, the movies and streaming and all of that. So absolutely. I'd say if at worst it'd be flat.
I'm going to say because, you have these subscription companies like Netflix who charge, anywhere from $9.99 to $11.99 or whatever. Their revenue is not going to increase. The usage will increase,
right?
But the revenue won't increase unless they bring in a lot of net new subscribers, which you can see that happening. Although there's a lot of competition with some of the other, streaming services.
But AWS is not dependent on that.
No, but see, the thing is now
their cost is going up.
Their costs are going up because people are using it more, but their revenue isn't going up unless Amazon gets more people on Prime.
Right.
So,
but I mean, they do make money on the streaming.
Right. They make money on the streaming, but I guess I'm saying is when it comes to the Ubers and the Lyfts and the Airbnbs, that revenue is not subscription driven. That's usage driven. So if more people are taking Ubers, that means more revenue is being made, right? For companies using AWS. So
companies using AWS, yes.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. I don't know if the Netflix increase in usage offsets the loss of income from Uber and Lyft. It's that next quarter is going to be the quarter to look at.
That's a lot.
Yeah,
but we'll see.
We'll see. I think that you're going to see
back to normal.
We're going to see sales and operating income for AWS. This is me predicting it dropping pretty significantly quarter two. It hasn't showed up in quarter one.
Right.
All right. We're in agreement for a lot of stuff. Now here's
about numbers, man.
Now here's where I really wanted to talk a little bit more about the actual report itself. If I can pull that up. All right, so I have something highlighted here. This is part of the call transcript, and this is, I think, their CFO talking. Now, this is unbelievable to me, where I have highlighted. We increased grocery delivery capacity by more than 60% and expanded in-store pickup at Whole Food stores from 80 to 150. And that happened mostly in the last 3 weeks of the quarter. So they can increase capacity to 60% in 2 or 3 weeks. That to me is something that is unbelievable. I don't think anybody else could have done that. And I think that's why next quarter will be better than this quarter when it comes to, supply chain operation, fulfillment center operation, because not only were they putting out fires around, sick employees and, doing all the changes to things that they never had to monkey with before, but they were doing it all underneath this scourge. And if you're still able to do all of that while all this terrible stuff is going on and increase your capacity by 60%, that is amazing. And that's why there is for me, a lot of reason to think if they were able to pull off what they did under the current circumstances, which I think probably as bad as it will get for them, I think they're going to be operating much more efficiently and be able to scale even more so in quarter two.
Okay.
Yeah, that number says a lot to me. When I saw that, I was like,
It says
wow.
something completely different to me.
Okay, so well, let's hear it.
I mean, it just says that they had to do what they had to do, or they were about to get crushed, And so, yes, they had to get more people's stuff delivered, but they weren't the only one that had to do that. Kmart, Instacart. I was about to say Kmart. Instacart's doing it. Walmart's doing it. I mean, Amazon.
So
had to
60% increased
That's
capacity by
that's an arbitrary number.
60%.
That's an arbitrary number.
Well, when we're talking about Amazon, we know they have the biggest scale already.
I'm just saying, when I say 60%, that's an arbitrary.
It's an arbitrary number. I don't know exactly
versus where were you at before? If I had one store doing it and now I have two, I've just increased by 100%.
Yeah, but
that's 60%.
We're not talking stores. We're not talking stores. We're talking overall grocery delivery capacity.
Right. And then it says store pickup at Whole Foods from 80 to 150 stores. How much of that 60% includes the pickup from 80? You see what I'm saying? I'm sure
there's a lot in there, but
I'm just saying when
you're operating at a scale that Amazon operates. I don't care. I mean, if Walmart said it, I would be like, man, that's unbelievable too. I'm saying anytime you have a huge operation that's able to, in 3 weeks' time, increase their capacity to do whatever by 60%, that is astounding to me.
Well,
under the current circumstances.
If Walmart increases 60% in grocery delivery versus Amazon increasing 60%, Big Apple, Little Apple. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
And sometimes when you're small, it allows you to do things a little bit faster. It sounds great on paper, 60%, but
and not just 60%, 60% in about 2 to 3 weeks. That's the time element that you can't overlook.
I'm not overlooking it. I just don't know what that means. That's all I'm saying.
And I think you'll get a better picture of what that means in quarter 2, because you'll be able to have something to compare it to.
But yes, great capacity up 60%. Store delivery from 80 to 120, 150.
Right. Now, I don't know how many Whole Foods stores there are. Is it like 400 or something, or probably more than that?
I don't know. We should see that. See, that's what I'm saying. If I know these numbers, then I can understand what the 60% means.
Well, I'm going out on a limb, and I'm saying anytime that there's Amazon talking about some kind of capacity for doing anything around shipping or fulfillment or scaling, it's going to be a number much bigger. It's going to be a number much bigger than the corner grocer.
Of course it is. But I don't know if that's exciting.
I think it's probably not exciting to a lot of people, but to me it is, because I like to look at the background stuff, and
it becomes like great, but what does that mean? I don't know what millions of dollars is that.
I can't tell you that.
Right. They could.
They
chose not to.
Most stores choose to tell you what they want you to know. I mean, most companies do that. That's exactly the way it is. But that number to me stood out. All right. So what was the other thing that I thought was interesting? Oh, okay. So they said they invested $600 million in COVID-related costs Q1, expect $4 billion in Q2. They said that they supported food banks by donating delivery services of groceries to serve 6 million meals in LA, Miami, Nashville, Orlando, San Fran, Seattle, and Washington, D.C. Why not Atlanta? We could have used that.
They're not on that coast, I guess. I don't know.
No, well, Nashville's not that far away from us, Miami.
But I mean, they've done some really great stuff. $100 million in COVID relief.
Right.
They are.
So,
or what he is by himself.
So overall, I thought it was. I didn't see this as a bad report. I kind of figured it was going to be something like this. I figured bigger revenues, but because those revenues were coming mostly from retail, I didn't expect to see a big anything like a humongous thing around profit. And we got exactly that. Now, like you said, AWS got to keep a lookout on that for
All
next
right.
quarter.
So is that a wrap for you?
Yeah, you got something else?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
All right.
You haven't touched hardly any of my things.
Well, this was a special.
No, I put them down, and I'm like, I figured you would. So I chipped off the first two.
All right.
All right. So here was something that I really listened to is that they were dealing with high demand, and they asked in the Q&A about whether it was an issue for delivery. And they said, no, the high demand is not the problem that we were having. The problem they were having was getting inventory into the warehouses, which I thought that was interesting. Another thing was they're having problem with the high demand was restocking. So they're running into restock issues, and they're running into logistics with getting stuff into the warehouse. They said that Alexa was getting more traffic based on people wanting to play more music. And this was interesting, more questions around, a lot of things, also teaching for kids. So
that's cool.
Yeah,
that's actually interesting. But for me, it's that's interesting. But they didn't give me anything around. Are people using more Alexa and Echo devices as opposed to using mobile phones to do this stuff because they're in the house? That's probably hard for them to give us, but that would have made me more interested in. Oh, it's nice they're doing more because the kids are home and they got to entertain the kids more. Yeah. So that makes sense. Yeah.
Yep. And probably since they leave the thing on to listen to you all the time, they're getting way
well, especially if you're a third-party seller and you have a hot item to sell.
I thought this was interesting. They said they spent $1 billion in Q1 for one-day delivery, which they were planning on doing it, and that they do feel going forward is going to be a good spin. They still might have issues with stock in, pick, pack, and ship. Not the ship part, but they said stock in, pick, and pack, right? We're still, this was the one thing he said, and I was like, nobody went and asked him. They said it deeper into Q2, possibly Q3. That one freaked me out. I was like, why are you saying deeper into Q2 and possibly? This could last that long?
I think it's better to get it out there now than to have to
deal with it later.
Right.
And you know what? While we're on that subject, that's why Apple, if you check right now, I guess it's still up, but it was up this morning. That's why Apple was up, Amazon down. And I really believe just because Apple totally told everybody where they were going to be.
Right.
Helped. So this might be them, doing the same, letting people know. Where's Apple right now?
We're at Apple, I don't know, but Amazon is still 7.2% down.
Check by. Can you check?
Let's see.
Search by keyword right there.
I just go to my portfolio.
It's right there on the right. They're down now. I just saw it. 2%.
Yeah. All right. No, 3.79%.
No, 1%. Okay. 1.2%.
Oh yeah, 1.2%. Right.
So they started up a little up.
Well, and it looks like everybody is getting hammered right now, and I think that's being driven because there was so much anticipation around Amazon that they would have had to have a blowout profit, not revenue, profit-driven earnings to justify all. I mean, the run-up we had that one shot of Amazon's price compared to everybody else. That just couldn't happen. That couldn't continue. That pace could not continue. So this is an excuse for people to dump.
Yeah. And then the other thing he talked about was FBM, fulfillment by merchants, is bringing third parties back to volume capacity, which that was obvious, but I like that they're embracing it enough to talk about it. So I don't see that going away. You know, I think that's going to be here for at least the near term, hopefully for a while, where we can find this balance between FBA and FBM. Because I always think the volume had been turned up way high on FBA. And now I think what they're seeing and feeling is that, you know, you can't put all your eggs in just FBA basket.
I want to pop this up because it kind of touches on what we had just talked about. Netflix and IBM earnings are a clear negative read across to AWS. I don't know about IBM, but
right. I don't know the IBM part.
Yeah, Netflix.
But Netflix.
I think we kind of explained it.
Yeah, that's cool.
It could be an increase. Yeah. All right. So anyway.
And then the last one I had was, and this was interesting. He's like, the cost of goods and the cost of delivery is usually, so here's what he's saying I'm just doing it for breakdown for people. He's saying the cost of goods and cost of delivery is usually fixed price, meaning how much you pay for a product is fixed price. And then how much you pay to get it delivered is usually fixed price. They don't fluctuate as much. However, he said in this environment, the cost of goods are very much in flux. So that's going to impact their profitability. So they're still going to have the items on the shelf, but normally to get the items into the warehouse, that cost is pretty fixed because you know how much it costs to purchase the item, blah, 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 get it shipped here. But those items or that cost is now in flux, and it will impact their profitability, even though they will still have good top line numbers in sales. The profits on that are not as fixed as they used to be.
Yep.
Crazy.
Yeah. We're in a whole new world, man.
We are in a really
whole new world,
man.
Right. Now, here I think could be the biggest chink in Amazon's armor. Let me pull this up. They are going hard. They're going hard after him on this third party thing.
Wow.
This is.
But I mean, the simple answer is yeah, they did.
Yeah. So, all right. So they misled. I mean, is there, unless you're under oath, I mean, can you go to jail for
no,
unless you're under oath or perjury or something?
No, because he wasn't testifying then. Now they're asking him to testify.
Right. Now, can you, I mean, they may ask, but wait a minute. So here we go with the
annoying.
No thanks. Oh, I'm doing the wrong thing. No thanks. There you go. All right. So this is probably, I don't know who's asking, but I'm guessing it's maybe. Oh, it says top Democrats on the committee previously said they suspected Amazon of lying. So do you expect a subpoena? Because I'm guessing they're going to have a subpoena for him to show up.
It's so weird, but yeah. I mean, at some point, he's probably going to have to test. I mean, look.
Hey, look, you know what's going to happen because you know who's the current resident.
Oh, yeah. They're on the same side right now.
That's what I'm saying.
So it's like, you know, but I mean, they made Zuckerberg come in. They're going to make Bezos come in. Yes.
I'm just saying, Jeff better get his asbestos suit ready.
He better, because they're going to flame him.
Oh, you know.
I just don't see him being able to spin it, nor do I see him as a spinner. So
I don't see him as a spinner, no.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, you know, they had Zuckerberg on there, and a lot of his answers, well, I'll take a look into that, or I didn't know that. And I was like, come on, Zuckerberg, seriously. But I don't see Jeff Bezos doing that, feeling that way.
No. Well, let's face, I mean, Jeff is a more mature guy.
Yeah.
You know, and I think he'll be ready for whatever.
He'll be ready for whatever, but he's going to have some hard times if he gets in front of Congress.
Oh, because they can ask him anything. That's the problem with this.
it's an open book.
Yeah.
Once you open that thing, it's that's definitely up in the air. So I mean, Amazon's got a little headwinds, which is weird. I can't believe we're talking that way, but I mean, I'm always on the headwind part, but they got a little headwinds going into the third and fourth.
Here's the thing: outside of the last thing we talked about, the same headwinds that Amazon has, everybody else has. It's all.
But I mean, yes, but I mean, you saw what Walmart did today. You know, Walmart announced a 2-hour delivery service called Express Delivery, which will rival Amazon Prime. So they're able to ramp that up during this time.
Well, they announced it. We'll see how good it is.
We'll see how good it is, but it's like, let's kick them while they're down. That's
a smart thing to do. I mean, if I were them, I'd be doing, but as long as you can pull it off. That's the
dog eat dog world, man.
They've got to be able to pull. If you say it and you don't deliver, what good is saying it? You better deliver. They got to deliver.
Give me my groceries on time.
Yeah, especially those apples.
Yeah, I did get new apples though.
All right, that was the special.
That's the special edition,
earnings report edition. What? So net. What is your biggest takeaway from this?
Net. Amazon is in. It's still in scramble mode, very much more than I even expected on different areas. That's what I would say.
So I would say, yeah, you're right. They're in scramble mode, but on the flip side, I will say,
so is everybody else.
And so is everybody else, and I think they are still in the best position to actually come out of this better on the other side of this because they got $4 billion to throw.
Here's what we didn't talk about, and we did. There are actual movements out there asking. People are asking now, should I keep Prime? And they didn't talk about Prime at all.
Yeah, that's true. But that's because, let's face it, that wasn't in the top 50 things that they had to deal with. Now, maybe quarter two, if there's some kind of a trend, talk is one thing. If it starts showing up in the numbers, then yeah. But right now, that's to me, that's not the most important thing.
Yeah, I mean, because literally, if mine lapsed right now, there's probably no reason to re-up it.
Well, mine comes up in May this month.
Yeah, well, you'll do it just because.
Well, I do it because I mean, I started buying more stuff over the last couple of weeks and getting it within 2 or 3 days. And now it's not like toilet paper or anything like that, but it feels like they are getting closer to what normal used to be. I don't know what it's going to be going forward, but it does feel like I'm seeing more Amazon trucks on the road. My orders are getting delivered sometimes in 1 day, let alone 2 days.
Dude. Okay. Freaked me out yesterday. I'm sitting on the couch and, like FedEx used to always ring my doorbell, right? Every day when we get deliveries, FedEx would ring the doorbell. They stopped ringing the doorbell when we went in a lockdown. COVID-19. Why touch the doorbell?
Right.
So yesterday, the Amazon guy comes up and it's like, it was late. It had to be like 8 p.m. And he rang the doorbell. Dude, it freaked me out. Because nobody's ringing the doorbell anymore.
Well, I don't want nobody ringing my doorbell.
Right. But I jumped. I was like, what the hell? Oh my God. It freaked me out. It's just like you say, we're in a really weird time now. It's crazy. But anyway, great.
Well, all right. So that's the special edition. We will see you next Wednesday at 1:00, or as I like to say, 1-ish.
1-ish. We're out.
We are. Have a good weekend. Stay safe.